Welcome to the training module, Introduction Training. The professional development training modules on this site have been developed to provide JPs with the knowledge, skills and confidence to perform their duties as a justice of the peace. This training module is an information session on what does a justice of the peace need to know, so that they can make an informed decision when performing their functions as a JP. This sets expectations for your role as a JP. This module addresses the general knowledge area for justices of the peace. Understand the structure of the professional development program for JPs. Define what a JP is, and understand the need for JPs in South Australia. Understand the range of powers assigned to JPs in South Australia. Identify the relevant legislation, and know where to find reference material to assist JPs in their duties. Understand the jurisdictional boundaries that exist, and where and when a JP authority ceases. Determine appropriate behavior in situations requiring ethical decisions. Understand the limitations of a JP, and know what a JP should have with them when performing their duties. The structure of this professional development program for JPs consists of professional development training, group meetings and website resources. It addresses the documents that a JP would encounter as part of their duties. Training addresses knowledge, skills and understanding of the requirements for witnessing documents. Attending group meetings enables a JP to develop a network of associates, receive face-to-face training, be advised of changes to legislation and rules affecting JPs, and socialize with other JPs. The association website has a wealth of resources that empower JPs performing their duties. The association uses social media platforms to enable JPs to communicate with each other, ask questions, and receive answers. What is a Justice of the Peace? A Justice of the Peace, JP, is appointed by the Attorney General to act as an independent and objective witness to documents people use for official or legal purposes. For instance, any adult is authorized to witness a will, but only certain persons, such as a JP, are authorized to witness affidavits and statutory declarations. Jurisdictional boundaries. This means the boundaries of states and territories. If you are in South Australia, then your jurisdictional boundary is within South Australia. If you are a JP for South Australia, then South Australian legislation authorising you to act as a witness for documents applies to you while you are physically in South Australia. If you are on a holiday in another jurisdiction, then you are only authorised to witness South Australia and Commonwealth documents. There are variations to this that we will discuss shortly. What are JPs allowed to do? Whatever the relevant legislation allows the JP to perform. JPs can witness statutory declarations, affidavits, certify copies of documents, and perform other functions. There is more to this, but we'll stick to the basics for now. Why have justices of the peace? Using a JP gives the end user confidence that documents are executed according to the requirements in legislation and overseen by a person that is considered objective and independent. This is important if the documents are to be presented in a court of law. The court will treat the statements in these documents as testimony, equivalent to being sworn before a magistrate. In this situation, a deponent who knowingly makes a false statement may be guilty of perjury. These are critical points because the document in question is important. It may be that there are serious penalties if the person does not tell the truth in their statement, or they are supplying photocopies of important documents to substantiate a claim or application. The range of professions authorized to witness documents, and the appointment of JPs, are chosen to allow people easy access and availability of witnesses to service their needs. Be aware that as a Justice of the Peace, you will be performing your tasks under various legislation, either federal or state or territory. These will have subtle differences, and you should make yourself aware of the requirements of each. You should appreciate that the requirements of witnessing the same documents will vary depending on the jurisdiction it is from. A list of relevant documents and internet links is shown on this slide. These are the main documents that govern your role and functions as a JP. As mentioned earlier, each state and territory in Australia is its own jurisdiction. State or territory legislation applies to only their jurisdiction. Commonwealth legislation applies to all jurisdictions. A JP can do anything in the state or territory that legislation from that jurisdiction or the Commonwealth allows them to do. Other jurisdictions recognize the fact that their residents may need to get documents witnessed while they are traveling interstate, so they often allow a JP from another jurisdiction to witness a document. It is always worthwhile to ask the person presenting such a document if you will be acceptable to the end user. Now, here's the tricky part. A JP resident in South Australia can do anything that SA or Commonwealth legislation allows them to do while they are physically in South Australia. Can execute many documents from other jurisdictions while the JP is physically in South Australia. For example, someone on holidays from Queensland comes to you to certify a copy of a document. A South Australian Justice of the Peace, when physically in another jurisdiction, cannot execute documents from any jurisdiction that is not South Australia. You have no authority. Can execute South Australian documents that are to be used in South Australia. Can execute documents under Commonwealth legislation that specifies JPs as being an acceptable witness, for example a Commonwealth statutory declaration. Now you understand what the JP authority of a Justice of the Peace for South Australia means. Ethical situations are those situations where your independence is compromised, or you are placed in a situation where you are asked to do something you know is not correct. Family. It is recommended that you do not perform any JP functions for immediate family members or for close friends. Although you know you did the process correctly, this may not be the perception of others, and if there were legal action later, your independence could be challenged. Work. You can perform JP functions for work colleagues. Rewards. If you are a Justice of the Peace, you cannot accept a reward of any kind for the service you provide. Case study: you are a JP, and you work behind the counter at the post office. The post office provides a certified copy service and charges $5 a copy. You are a JP and a postal worker that is authorized to certify copies. Your employer requires you to charge $5 for this service. What do? Answer: you may provide the service and charge the fee, provided you do so in your capacity as a postal worker, and not as a JP. Remember, if you are providing a service free of charge, as a JP you have indemnity for making an honest mistake. Fraud. I guess it doesn't need to be said, do not do anything illegal. However, you will find yourself in a situation where someone asks you to do something that isn't quite right, and they have a good excuse for asking you. For example, Mum is old and frail, and she has a medical condition so she can't be here today, but would you mind witnessing her signature on this document? Here are her driver's license and other ID documents. It would be such a great help if you could do this for her, please. A JP must always witness the person sign a document. Fraud such as this has happened, and a legal precedence is recorded that the JP failed in his duty of care and was ordered to pay tens of thousands of dollars in damages. Legal advice. Maybe an example will help illustrate this point. A client wants to know if she should use a statutory declaration or an affidavit. You ask, is it to be used in a court of law? She says no, then you say a statutory declaration should be used. This is not legal advice, it is reciting information. If a client wants to know if stating certain information in their statutory declaration will help their cause, this is legal advice. You must not provide this assistance. Legal advice proposes a specific course of action a client should take. For instance, it's the difference between telling someone what to do, legal advice, as opposed to how to do it, legal information. Helping complete a document. If someone comes to you and has no idea what to write down in a statutory declaration, you must not assist. If it is a procedural such as "do I call it attachment" or attachment 1, then that is okay, you can help them and witness the document. Overseas documents. As a rule, you are not authorized to witness a document that will be used in another country. Usually the person must see a notary public. As with all rules, there are often exceptions. An overseas authority will often accept a JP to witness a proof of life document. Often a person will come to you with a document to be used in an overseas organization and will tell you that they have checked and were told that it is okay for a JP to witness it. In this case, you may proceed and witness the document. In all cases, it is the client's responsibility to assure they get the correct person to witness a document. If they say they have checked and were told that you are an acceptable witness, then it is okay for you to proceed. Documents you are authorized to witness. Usually you are familiar with most documents you are authorized to witness because you see them on a regular basis, such as stat decs, affidavits, certifying a copy, etc. If someone presents you with a document you are unfamiliar with, then you need to read the instructions on that document to ensure you are authorized to witness it, and look for instructions on how to witness the document. There is a fine point that needs to be discussed at this stage. Usually legislation specifies the documents and who is authorized to witness them. Let's examine 3 scenarios. A will. Covered under the Will Act 1936. Says 2 or more witnesses must sign. The witness is any adult who is not family or a beneficiary of the will. If witnessing a will, you are witnessing as an adult and not as a JP. A contract for a loan or mortgage. This will be documentation from a financial organization and is not covered by any legislation. You are not obliged to witness such documents, as there is no legal authority giving you the power to witness the document. It is up to you if you are comfortable to witness these documents. If so, ensure you read the instructions carefully. Witness a signature on a letter. Sometimes a person will come to you and ask to witness their signature on a letter because it will give the document a veneer of authority to the person receiving it. This is not covered by any legislation. You should not witness or sign personal statements made by a person simply because the person asks you to do so. Indemnity. If you are providing a service as a JP, you have indemnity for making an honest mistake. As a justice of the peace, you should make sure you have the basic tools of the trade with you. Perhaps keep them in a bag you use to take with you when performing JP functions. Pens. Obviously, you will need a writing implement of some sort. It will need to be a blue or black pen. Often the client will arrive without any writing implement. It's best to have 2 or 3 pens available in case of problems. Some documents will specify the color of the ink to be used. If you have blue and black, you are okay. Never use pencil or pens with erasable ink. You should not use any other color than blue or black. Glasses. Remember to pack your reading glasses should you require them. Stamps. There are numerous stamps available to save you from writer's cramp and streamline the process. If you attend a signing center, the relevant stamps may be provided. It is recommended that you obtain your own. While stamps are not necessary, it speeds things up, reduces fatigue, ensures you get the wording correct, and provides a degree of professionalism to the executed document. Recommended stamps are a stamp stating your full name and authority as a JP, including any associated ID number. A stamp with the correct wording for certifying copies of documents, and a date stamp. Useful stamps are an address stamp and an annexure stamp. Holy Book. If a client wants you to witness an affidavit, and they chose to swear on oath, they can do so using a holy book or something they consider as sacred to them. As a JP providing this service, you are not expected to have a range of holy books for such circumstances. If the client wishes to swear an oath, then the expectation is that they bring with them a suitable holy book of their choice. Many signing centers do have several types of holy book available for this purpose. Blank forms. There is no requirement to supply blank forms to a client. However, it is a nice touch if you have a few copies of blank statutory declaration forms in your bag in the event they are needed. These can be South Australian and Commonwealth statutory declaration forms to use as appropriate. This concludes the session on introduction training.